Hello, this is the Self-Mentoring Podcast. My name is Nick Millan, and this is episode 1, and I don't really have just me in general. I'm kind of 100 miles an hour. I'll miss a few turns. You know, uh, some would say like ADD or whatever, but I have a problem with that. It's more just high energy. Some people are more high energy, and it's also, like I was an athlete growing up and always have been, and I went to the Army. And I was also in the Army. I was a signals intelligence analyst. So, like top secret clearance, like I'm pretty calculated about things to analyze. So, and have refined those skills like in that. And, so just like I already have, I kind of bounce around and, there'll be more direction, I guess, as things go on, and I'll get more into like certain topic type things. And, but I've just been getting a lot of questions lately because I have started to get really over the past like 2 years. And it's because I've kind of had to. And the point of this one is like, the gut is the second brain, a lot of cultures will say that, like old cultures, and it's for a reason. Like, until your gut health is fixed, then your brain is not going to do anything as far as, like anything else. I mean, that's where it gets its fuel. So, and you're literally what you eat. Like, you're made of, mostly water. So that's another thing you got, what you be drinking. But alcohol in particular is like a big one that's recognized by your brain as a poison. So that's the first thing, right? Like, if you're kind of even 1 or 2 drinks every day, I've noticed with like people, um, and myself, is it's like not really all the way good until it's a couple days, break at least. So, and then you're going from there, right? From point zero. Again. So I guess I'll start kind of, I mean, I was like, so in the Army, I was like 185, or 180, 185, and 185 when I got out and was drinking a little bit. And then all of a sudden, like, I started getting these episodes where I would puke, like, and I'll still get them. But the point is for like a year, I was messing with doctors and got a lot of medical debt and things like that. And they would just write, scopes and anti-acid, whatever. But, I got pretty tired of it. And within like a month or two, or it was like a month and a half, I guess, it doesn't matter. I dropped like all the way down to 132, I think. It was like 131, almost. Yeah, it's not good. And I'm sure in the hospital, because I did have to go to the hospital from those episodes, just throwing up so much, had to go get rehydrated. And then on from there, just like doctor trying to figure out, and I smoke weed, like big freaking whoop, like, and that's what they would write it off to, is like cannabis hypermesia syndrome, which, maybe like, I think anything like that I've noticed, like nicotine, caffeine, like bad food, weed, alcohol, anything that's not like, food for fuel or water. I mean, your body's not going to 100% like it. But, nobody's trying to be 100%, unless you're, I mean, 100% is not possible, rather. So, and there is a certain like balance to all things. Like, if you, so, and I've only been like, let's say calorie deficiting for like a month. So, don't think that this is all like, I've still been trying to gain weight except for like past month. So just any thoughts about that, just scratch. So, or about like, I've just been like calorie cutting and this and that for like a year. Like that is not the case. But see, I'll lose my point and go back. So the gut health thing. Oh yeah. So I dropped all this weight, throwing up in and out of the ER, and then doctors from there, and then I'll have another episode. And I just figured out that it was completely diet based. And, everybody is different. Like that's like common sense. Like everybody's body is different. And in my family's case, or in my case particular, my family has like diabetes on both sides, type 1 and 2. And all that tells me is just that like probably eating too much sugar and this and that, and we might have like a sensitivity or something like that. But because I think, you just look at the foods in nature. So like you got like your, not in nature, like your New York cheesecake. Okay, I like that. And then you got like honey. Then we're talking foods in nature. And then honey is like, you got to get stung by a bunch of bees to get that. And it's whatever. And it's not like going to be a staple of anybody's diet. Because I like to think of things like pretty simple. Like even though I am like analytical and that, like I'm an idiot. So like I smoke weed every day. I mean, like that. Take it for what you want. I don't think it affects me as it does maybe some people, but it's also generally like I was saying, like the high energy thing, like it has to do with just what are you doing day to day, and then like this guy just ran the first triathlon in Antarctica like a couple of days ago. I mean, the human body can do whatever. I mean, you see all these like jacked, huge, massive bodybuilders and things like that, like, or folks like that, like a lot of them started out real skinny, and it's just like you can do whatever. It really has to do with like, are you gonna do it right? And there's different ways to do it, but like I said, that's why it's all like self-testing, like more, I want to promote more like how do you, like, you don't need a coach for anything, especially like with the internet. It's not a big thing. Like you can count your stuff, right? And like real easy now. Like, if I don't do things unless like they are easy, and not saying that everything comes easy or whatever. Like something or a lot of things you have to do until it's easy. And then it, what I'm saying? That's why like you self-test things, and if it can't become routine or easy for you, it's not for you. Pass it on. But you got to give things like a legit shot. And if you are serious about anything, right, then you're gonna have to get more calculated and do more self-testing, and eventually maybe get a coach or something, that can watch you and give you a better third person perspective, all that. But with the amount of information and like technology and everything that's out there, like most people, I'm not even gonna say that. You can start to see like big changes, right? Not counting anything, things like, or not counting anything, not changing anything, like except like you can, just eat real foods, eat the same numbers that you've been doing, and then you'll notice differences. And like if you're at zero, basically all I'm saying, if you're at zero, it's easy to go to, it's easier, and you'll see more differences going to like 1, and then like 1 to 2 is like smaller, yada yada. It's like the word for exponential, but opposite. I won't get stuck on that. So I am stuck on that. Yeah, and really like, and this guy Marcus Philly that I follow, he's like the founder of functional bodybuilding, which is like kind of what like I've been thinking anyways, it's common sense, but like the variety that CrossFit has is what everything else lacks. Like obviously that's like the point of it, because I mean, you're just not, if you do long distance running, I mean, you're gonna long distance run. I mean, you're gonna, to get better. You do powerlifting, but that's like sport. But as far as like general, whatever, CrossFit is like good for like your joint variety. Sorry, but the point of the bad part of CrossFit, I guess, as far as like health wise and longevity, is they do everything to a timer and do all this like yada yada, and like function bodybuilding kind of, to me, or at least the parts that I pull from it, are the variety and the what he's adapted from going from CrossFit to like a longevity and health standpoint. And you really don't need to get, he'll say like level 3 is like for bodybuilding, for like competitions, like people at like mixed martial arts, and like models, like people that are worried about their body composition. Like level 3 is basically body composition, and having to mess with the scale, right? Like manipulate the scale. Like he'll say like level 2 is competition, I guess is how I would say it. Like your power lifters, your Olympic athletes, even like, but people that don't have to worry about the weight on the scale, just only performance. And then level 1 is, I mean, pretty much everybody else, but I mean, I guess an example, I ate, like when I started kind of doing all this, like I started with I did like a month of like, kind of like I was saying, like real food, but I tried to do like vegan, and immediately noticed, like looking back, when I would like feel bloated and this and that, trying to bulk, like I was eating peanut butter and this and that. I was pretty similar to that, but just with a little meat maybe. But I was trying to like carb it up and this and that. But damn point. Oh yeah, I kind of the next thing was like, and that made me feel better or whatever. But I was like, I'm not getting the protein that I'm seeing, that I don't think I'll need, based off of like information that I was reading and whatever, still relevant. And especially like when I've kind of thought about like my family's case and sensitive to sugar and this and that, and then noticing how I feel on like on a low carb keto. I don't like saying the keto diet, but like ketosis, like my brain feels good and all that. But I started with the carnivore diet, and I ate like 2 bowls of ground beef a day, and like big bowls. And so intermittent fasting is also like, I'll get into that, but like that's another big thing that I'll be doing. So like 2 meals a day type thing. Like I said, if you're not giving you got to give your gut a break, and you can digest more protein than like 50 grams in a sitting. Look into it. But you like, I noticed vascularity getting more lean. I did it for like 2 weeks, I think, like 14 days. And like I looked and felt stronger and looked better, and just eating. And I didn't work out. That's the point. It's like I did not do anything, lift weights or anything for like those days. Nothing. So then after that, like I started, real low carb was kind of how I did it. Was like like 12 eggs in the morning and this and that. And I was, I'm eating like, I got my whoop. So like, I know more precisely how many calories I'm burning on a day and sleep and all that. It's great. But like level 1 type stuff, like just to get people started, that's why I'm trying to keep it is like for at least this one too. It's like, because the only point I'm trying to make is like, yeah, you're gonna see big differences, and you can be 5% body fat or like whatever, just off like diet and real low level exercise, and get a lot stronger. If big thing, like if you're a 0, you can go, and I got shoved to 0. Like, even though, like I was like, and it has to do with like my energy output needs, like for stress on my body, like growing up, always being active and being in sports, and then continuing that. And then even though like 2 years off or whatever, and all gut health, probably bounce back a little quicker, but like, or bounced, to like a 5% type thing or whatever it is, looking for, or looking at that. That was kind of my point of like, wow, I've just got to get some of this out and started. Cause like, I'm just thinking a lot of questions lately, because visually, like at the end of the day, like, I'm at 3, like not today. That's a point, is like fluctuates day to day, this and that, based off of your carbs are not like energy, like you were taught in school, that you have glycogen stores, like we're supposed to have our energy on fats. That, which brings me back to my timeline of like, or timeline, my little line of food and carbs and sugar. So like you got, and I just take bread out of the equation because bread is much more recent in like human evolution, and it's a good source of like carbs or whatnot, like, and rice too. But if you're on, I think just low carb diet, if you want to be lean, like that's what you're going to be doing. So low carb, low to moderate type thing. And I'll just get to it. Honey, right? All that. And then it's like yada, 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 fruits. And then it's like you got your banana and this and that. As far as like grams per serving type thing of like carbs and sugar, which are essentially the same thing, but we're talking sugar on this line, which is grams sugar per carb, like how, whatever. And then you got like your vegetables, right? And then you got like meats and cheeses and creams and whatever. Point being is like, woo, the staple of most diets, right? Like natural, whatever, like foods, right? Like the content of most foods is lower carb, right? Other than like fruits and stuff like that, which come around in the summertime and when it's hot and sweat and this and that, right? So you're supposed to eat those. And seasonal eating is like another thing, which I haven't really like particularly focused on, but it's something I've heard recently, like that guy Marcus talking about. And look, we'll see, because I've been doing this carb thing or cut thing, calorie deficit, for only like a month and a half. I just want to see if I can hit 135 or 136 on the scale. That's like bantamweight, because I'm trying to do MMA. So like that's why I'm extra calculated, like level 3 type, to the gram. But like I'm telling you, you don't have to like be calculated or stress. Level 1 is like, can be real similar type, and it's not like level as far as like, I say that it's not level as like level of expertise. It's like level of calculation, right? Like that you need. And yeah, I mean, unless, dead gum, like I feel fine and look good at 5%, 3%, probably if I start carbing up, which I will, bulking this winter, like this is like my last few days of like, I'm trying to shoot the 135 thing, and I'm sick of cutting for kind of the year. Like I've only ever done, I've always tried to gain weight. So like I've never been at a calorie deficit for like an extended period of time. And I've always been lean. So like that's the big point of like it is what you eat and like your activity level and this and that, you know, because for example, right, like and I talked about, you know, your brain is not going to do anything for your gut, right? So like my mom and my grandma have like you know, my grandmother got a stomach band, so and she's kind of had to do low calorie because she just can't eat that much food. I mean, that's just whatever. And excuse me, my mom has been for like a year, and she's not losing weight, and she has been for like a year eating like around like 1,000 calories a day, and so and her hormone levels like testosterone and estrogen are 0, so she's having to get supplementation for that. And I mean, if you're at that point, then like yes, like a pill supplementation, and that goes for like mental type health too. Like if you're at the point, like get the medical. But then as far as like a day-to-day or whatever, her hormones are for sure, and energy and everything are for sure jacked because she's just starving herself. She's in conserve mode. And so even though like I'm eating like 3,000 calories a day, let's say, like or leaving out the last month and a half, right? I'm eating like 3,000 calories a day, and burning over that, right? Like, or under that. And I was trying to be at a surplus. But like I 155, you know, weighing around there, and up to 164 when I was like my glycogen stores, you know, carved up basically. But yeah, I mean, like if you're both of the examples are like if you don't know what's going on, like with the low carb thing, you know, you could mess up. So you know, and my mom in particular, like is definitely not functioning properly because she is drinking alcohol on kind of a regular basis. So like just like, you know, and again, it's nothing crazy. It's like 1 or 2 glass, you know, whatever, but her gut health is jacked, right? And mama's grandma's gut health is jacked because she has a stomach band, and now she's had a stroke a few months ago, and it's just all kind of jacked. So she needs like proper brain fuel. And so her doctor put her on this low carb diet. And we'll just talk about my mom for a second. And says you need to eat low carb because the fuel's better for your brain. It's like, okay. That's pretty much all I told her, because she's pretty much only focused on just like eating low carbs and not anything else. So the deal is like if you have the 50 grams carbs that you'll see on like keto stuff is like based on like a 2,000 calorie diet. Because if you are burning 3,000 calories, and that's my point with like the whole, it's more about your deficit in relation to activity level, and ramping up activity level, you know, as like half of that, rather than just like doing all like, because if you do all, you know, I feel great and not depleted, at 3, like, you know, at 1,000 calorie deficit. If I've had 3,000 calories of food, I mean, if I burn 4,000 calories in a day and I eat 3,000, like I'm going to feel satiated, and, you know, I'm going to be ready to go the next day. And you know, I'm not going to be, it's not going to be like if you burn 2,000 calories a day, and, you know, and that's why it's all said it's kind of average somewhat, you know, maybe just going to work or not working out. It's just average. And you're eating 1,000, I mean, you're going to be like starved. I mean, because you need a certain, like your gut burns a certain amount of calories, like digesting the food. So like all your numbers, you got to like play that into or whatever if you start counting. But so my mom, for example, or specifically, she can only eat like 1,000 to 1,500 calories. So what I noticed she was doing is like in her diet, if I counted up for a couple days for her, she's like, so 50 grams off 2,000, she's like right above, she's like at 60 grams. So if she's can only be eating 1,000 to 1,500, I'm like, that's all her stomach can flat out handle. And like, also she could probably eat more if she was properly on the low carb and in ketosis type thing, like, and high protein and getting her energy from fats, right? She could probably eat more, feel less full, and eat more calories, or consume more calories. But just not even going that far. If you're low carb, right, and she's like over that, right, and probably should be under 50 a little bit. But point is, if you're over just a little bit over your ketosis number, let's say, which everybody's different, this and that, it has to do with activity level and it's day to day. So, but all that generalizing, if you're over if you eat a bunch of fat, right? But fats, right? Fats are good, okay? So if you're eating fats, you're burning fats. So if you're eating carbs, you're burning carbs, putting on fat type thing. And, that's loose. But you go, we'll go off the 2,000 number just so I can throw numbers at it, because that's what my brain wants to do. So, but, just keep in mind all this fluctuating stuff. So if I eat 2,000 calories and I have, let's say, 65 grams of carbs, right? And or 60, and I bust it. Then let's say 60, I bust it. Then all of a sudden the 100 and whatever it be, like 100, let's say 100 grams, 150, 120 grams of fat, somewhere in there, 115, 120. Off 2,000. That's what I mean. Then all of a sudden, like, as far as, and your protein should be high anyways, because protein is like muscle and building block type thing. Like, protein is a building block, and carbs and fats are where you get your energy, or energy sources rather. So if you eat all these fats and then you bust your carbs, is all I'm saying, is then all of a sudden you're running on carbs fuel and you're low carbs. So it's like, duh. And in her case, that's like not good at all, because she's eating like no fat, mostly like protein shakes, because that's all she's feeling or whatever. But if she's doing like 50-50 on like carbs and fat, so it's like, it's not low carb, it's low carb, low fat. And so her brain is only getting protein, like she's maintaining higher protein. And she got literally a protein buildup in her brain, and like it caused her to have a couple seizures after the stroke. And stroke was like 6 months ago. And I just like went over there last week and found out all this. Anyways, has a protein buildup, and not found out all this, like tractor stuff. Had a protein buildup in her brain. And that's completely from, like, in my opinion, I guess, like from the carbs, like her running off of low carb, low fat. And so she just needs more fats and a little bit lower carbs. And then she's right there. And she's close anyway. She's like real close on her numbers and everything as far as like day to day. So, but that's also bad, because if you're close, but no cigar, you're going to be running on carbs still, but just low carbs. You're going to feel like crap. So, and it's the same case with my mom, because she's been like voluntarily doing 1,000 calories, and so it's like no good, right? Okay. Is that kind of all? yeah, that was kind of most of my points there. So one of the questions I guess I got from people recently that, I'll talk about is my boy Jamie. He's out in Georgia now. He's my buddy from the Army, but he is like 5'4". He has like a 28-inch waist, which is the same as mine, and which is like, you're not going to get much further than that. I mean, it's 28, and he weighs like 115 pounds, right? He wants to bulk up a little bit, and I know that he eats healthy and all this, but we just, I have like our messages pulled up, and I'll play a couple voices because that's how we did it for the last part. But he wants to bulk up a little bit, and he, because he was under the impression, right, of like, what I've been doing the past month and a half is, I'm telling you, completely different from like the last 2 years. So, I've just been kind of, and I feel just like today still, I feel just as strong. I can lift. I've been lifting all the same weights and same workout, whatever. Energy level just over the past month and a half might be lower just because of my calorie intake and all this other jazz. So, trying to deficit. But, like I was trying to bulk before this, and I got, I could get to like 164, and then, leaned out or not carved out, like carbs out of body, like fasted ketosis, whatever you want to call it, empty glycogen stores, would be like 155. So like that's what I'd wake up normal, and then when I was wake up the next day, carved up one. Yeah. So like now I'm just like 10 pounds down to that range. After like a month and a half. So like I did something right there too. So we'll go back up, and we'll see, this winter. I wouldn't mind like getting back to like 170, 175, and like cutting per se to like 155. So just based off like my goals and what I'm trying to do. So big thing, because you got, like I said, you start with gut health. Intermittent fasting has become big for me. So like you can start with the, and this is what I was telling him, like that's going to be first and foremost, right? Like it's just going to reduce gut inflammation, and like that's where everybody, sees the fat is right there in the gut. So, so he told me that he doesn't typically eat a lot of vegetables, that even though he does eat like all real foods and this and that, they're big on that. And his wife is lean like he is too. I mean, they're healthy people, a healthy lifestyle type thing. And are you kidding me? My dog just keeps on. We need a doggy door. But he eats a lot of meat, a lot of meat, fruits and nuts. So just knowing what those contain, it sounds like, I told him, it sounds like you need to up your fats, right? Because that's where you get more calories. And, maybe be sparingly on the fruit, but you're probably eating fruit to get more sugar, right? Just to up calories and your body fuel because you're not doing enough fats anyways. So probably up your fats. And he was like, easy way to do that is, I'll say, he said, how do you eat so much and not be full? Because I told him, yeah, I mean, I for a long time, I was eating anywhere from like 3,000 to 4,000 calories a day. I'm going to get right back to that, making 4,000 a minimum, here after the next, let's say, week, after I do the, lean out and sauna it up and try to hit that weight. But he said, how do you eat that much not be full? And so that's where intermittent fasting comes in. It's like, you give your gut a break, then your gut can handle, more food, right? If you give it a break to like get all of it out, and then maybe even like, because I've done a 3-day fast before, like just one, and I've done a few 24s. Intermittent is like 14 to 16 every day, so like at least that. And I'm not perfect on any of this crap, so like, that's another thing I'll say, like, you don't necessarily even need to be like level 3, calculated to, look good, right? Like I feel like I look good, or like my body composition, and I feel energetic and healthy and all that. So, if you eat a lot of carbs, right? Like also, you're going to feel more full, because looking at nature, if you fill up on carbs, and your body's going to say like, oh, well, carbs are abundant. That means, we got like bread, and like things are growing, and like fruit. And so like we can, we should put on fat, right? Because yada, yada. The deal about like the high meat, yada, yada, is like a little bit to do with like wintertime. If you go carnivore, it's wintertime and you're eating just a little bit of nuts and like keto, like super low. And you'd be in the wintertime, you'd be eating like, wouldn't be fruits. That's my point. Is like you wouldn't have carbs, and like carbs are like springtime, summertime. That's when stuff grows. And then like in the wintertime, you'll have stuff that will preserve, maybe like nuts and things that are like lower carb, So anyways, cheeses and whatnot. So carbs will make you feel full. Not giving your gut a break will make you feel full. That's basically my point. And you want to up your fats because, it sounds like that's where you need to get your calories from anyways. Okay. Just general standpoint, like your calories and energy, right? Calories is energy type thing. But, yada, yada, yada. Yeah, that's what I told him. And he was like, so, and I said, I will have to start bumping up the carbs, right, when I want to gain. But you got to do that like properly, because like gut health standpoint, you don't want to be eating a lot of bread. You want to, he said like more grain pasta. And I was like, no, you want to eat like, you want to get your carbs from like vegetables and maybe even like, potatoes and rice, if it's got to be like a lot, if you're doing a lot of activity. And your percentage, 10% requires you to, because like that 50 gram number, if you burn 3,000 calories, like the percent goes to 75, right? 75 grams of carbs. And then keeping at it 10% of your diet. And then I think it's 10%. And 10% of your diet, if you're eating 4,000 and burning 4,000, like maintain even, would be 100. So like, maybe eat a freaking potato, if you want to stay low carb, but like, get your carbs in for a 4,000 calorie day, or like a bowl of rice or something. Yeah, he said no vegetables, yada, yada. He raised kind of I told him like how to get easy way for me to get fats that I love to do is like salami, cheese, pepperoni. I go buy it from the deli. It's cheap. It's like $6, $7 a pound at like Walmart or whatever. It's called. Yeah, I'm burping a lot because like, hey, even though it's 0 calorie and I'm not breaking my fast, like caloric fast, right? Versus like gut health fast. That's 3-day fast. That's a gut health fast. And I know that I missed my point on that, that I kind of just said it, but yeah, like this isn't going to be digested as carbonation, and you're going to burp, right? And the sweeteners in it. But still, like, I'm still going to be fasted. Like, it doesn't break you get what I mean? But anyways, kind of make you just, not 100% type thing. and that's kind of recent too. The Pepsi, I usually just do like coffee and tea when I'm fasted, and I stick to tea kind of throughout the day, like unsweet with, Splenda or stevia. I like stevia. So he kind of raised the flag about like sodium content and, of those things like pepperoni and salami. And, I've always salted everything my whole life. I just love putting salt on everything, this and that. So like that's another thing is like I've noticed, just like kind of I explained about my mom and grandma right now. The way I ate, like I always got the chicken wings, I got the chicken tenders, not the burger. Like I just didn't eat as a lot of like bread, like as far as, and I would eat like ramen and yada yada, but like given the choice, I would always get the meat with or like if I had to eat broccoli, I'd dump it in ranch, like ranch and dressings and salt. So like I've always been kind of close to this, and my activity level for sure, like I've only just recently, like in the past month, maybe hit a 5,000 calorie day and a 4,000 calorie day. I hit 5,600 was the highest one. And since we're in this whoop anyways, but like before them, for sure, like 4,000 calorie days all the time, 5,000 pretty regularly. I mean, like six likely, like on some days. Army will do that. Freaking suck. But anyways, if you're sweating a lot, probably, my point of all that was like, if you're sweating a lot and your activity level is high, then, you're going to sweat out salt, and electrolytes, all that, yada, yada. I just kind of stick to the two big ones, and sodium, potassium, because as far as hydration goes, it's much more about your sodium to potassium ratio, because like hydration kind of simplistically is, your blood vessels and blood flow, like your blood pressure and all that. And it affects all that anyways, like kidneys, because that's what he raised red flag about. And basically, yeah, if you have too much salt, all that's going to close up, versus your potassium. What that mineral does is do the exact opposite. It opens your blood vessels. So point is basically is it's more about the ratio than it is like the consumption, just like, because like 4,000 calorie days are different than 2,000, and everybody's different anyway. So that's why you just kind of self-test and track a little bit, just to kind of see where you're at and then where you're going, and then kind of get where you want to be. And then then it gets to, and then by then it's a routine, and you can just, we can quit counting and like this and that, but you are going to have to like, do a little bit of research, like, figuring out, right? So you got to write it down, type thing, track it, and just Whoop and apps and all this are just different tools you can do. And and that's another thing is like, I have like a whole workout, like plug and place with variety of movements and like full body health, like, and strength, like, cause I'm trying, like MMA, I mean, you have to be strong every point of your, arm, leg, whatever, like you have to be really well-rounded. And especially like at a core type thing. But that's what you want to be anyways, is like flexible, and just maybe not like I said, level 3, like you're not in competition, or you're not, in body composition competition or performance, you know what I'm saying? Like just figure out where you're at, and then, that's what all I try to do is like, yeah, self-mentoring type thing, like just plug and place. And so that's how my workout is too. But not even talking about working out, the, like, I just made that point because it's all plug and place type thing, but like self-tailored. No reason I made that point, honestly. So it's your potassium ratio, basically. You want it to be from, like, as far as I can tell, anywhere from 60 to 75% of your sodium. So like, yeah, like you have 1,000 milligrams of sodium, you want to have about 600 grams of potassium, or milligrams of potassium at least. And, if you sweat a little bit, probably not going to be too bad. You can flush out the overflow with just drinking a bunch of water, and because like if you drink a bunch of water or too much water, then it does, it depletes you of all those things. So like if you do have, if your ratio is off, just drink a bunch of water. Like that's another big thing of like, oh my gosh, how many people do you know? And I'm a server and a bartender, so mostly like I work with gals, and so and sorry, but like how many gals oh, my head hurts and yada yada all the time. And it's like, well, and I'll ask them all the time, like, well, what'd you eat today? Right? Oh, I had a Starbucks. Nothing. I didn't eat today. I was like, okay, well, what do you have, like any coffee or like anything besides water? And they were like, yeah, just like a Starbucks. And I was like, okay, so you had a cup of sugar, and have hardly had any water today and haven't eaten. Besides that, your head hurts. Gee, is it because your brain is only trying to pull nutrients for the day because you got your gut started, you're not fasting, and you broke your fast with nothing but sugar? Okay. And apply that to like everything. And I just know so many people like my age too, that like they say they only eat like once, maybe twice a day, but it's both like not until like 5 p.m. So it's like, oh my gosh, like, yeah, like you've got to do like your body is making you intermittently fast as much as it can and not sending hunger pains because it needs time to digest this shitty food that you're eating, like, and maybe if you ate better, then you would be hungrier and this and that, but and your damn head wouldn't hurt. But look, that was just a point about like, yeah, drink your water first thing of the day. And it's crazy, like I said, you can flush all those things out, yada yada, but like at the end of the day, you're made of water. So like drink your water, or mostly water. And if you want to be made of muscle, you got to eat, protein and fats. Not you want to be made of fat, you eat a bunch of carbs. Back to, yeah, potassium ratio. That's kind of more of a important thing when it comes to hydration than like total things, because 4,000 calorie a day, not the same as 2. Yada yada yada. Okay. Oh, he said that I should be a nutritionist or something. I was like, I mean, honestly, I would much rather, like, if I do have any kind of long-term plan as far as it comes to like health and this and that, and a preventative care center, I think would just be so much more beneficial, like, because just the way the medical industry is set up, they can only make money off of surgeries and writing a script. So like none of that is going to be proactive, it's going to be reactive. So like if we had places where it would just like teach people how to like self-mentor and like figure out what's good for their body, and just be an information place and a place to like check in, and maybe even like have a freaking workout center that you could like test where people are at, like have coaches there instead of having a coach that's like on your butt every day and like you're paying like 150 fucking bucks a month for. Like maybe just have a local preventative care center in your town, and like just have people come check in on a monthly basis or something, and 20 bucks a month, and just information available, and just, hey, help us keep the lights on type shit. And if you have a whole town, oh my gosh, that's the other thing is, let me just go ahead and say this real quick before I forget, and I probably should have done it at the beginning, but I mean, geez, Nick Sam Millan 19 is my Cash App. Just send me $1 if like you've ever benefit from anything that I say. And I'm not going to do any kind of subscription BS or whatever. Like it is like, if you have, and you know what, maybe I shouldn't have said that about the prevention or the preventative care center thing, rather than maybe they'll do 20 bucks per check-in or something. But like, I mean, if you've got for example, this podcast, ever gets like 100,000 people listening to it, and they all send me $1, like at least on a monthly basis. So like, let's say they just send me $1 a month, which is nothing. That is I mean, how much money is that for me in a fucking year? I mean, geez Louise. So that's 100K a month. It's just a stupid math I did, but like, you feel me? So, I'm not really like, not with the subscription type deal, but hey, I need money like everybody else. So, shoot me $1. And I'll work on it from there. That's how I think things should be, is like, something I need to do to improve and reach more people and this and that, send me $1 and I'll go chase more of those rather than trying to, like, personal trainers. That's my problem here, is like, they'll do, like $150 a month type things, programs and this and that. And it's like, why don't you just fucking teach people how to program themselves, And then if they are like in a professional environment or something, then yeah, you are going to need like a coach or something. But like, you're going to be around people that are doing the same thing you're doing every day anyways, as far as competition level. So like, maybe you still don't need a coach, but anyways, good grief. I mean, you need some teachers to teach you things, but like, as far as like somebody you pay $150 a month to work out with you, I mean, like, geez. So, preventative care centers would be great. And, what do you say? Yada, yada. He wondered my opinion on like longevity between meat eaters and non-meat eaters. And I think that as far as the longevity standpoint and health wise, like performance, I mean, you're going to need protein. If you want to like compete or anything like that, like, and you need protein anyways, but like higher levels of protein, you're gonna need to eat meat. I mean, like peanut butter and all that, like that will just float you right out. So, and meat is the oldest source, so it's like the most easily digestible thing you can find. So we'll just leave it at that. But so he said, wonder your opinion on that. And it's like, hey, I don't know, and even when you do research that stuff, like, because like I said, everybody's different. If you do research that stuff, you're gonna find like a couple of years gap anyways, and you're gonna find outliers all the time. So like, everybody's different. That's what I'm saying. Find what works for you, and that's what we should be. We, as far as people teaching or anything like that, people that want to make a living out of this, so that other people can make it just part of their life to improve their life. Like, that's what we should be teaching people, just how to like figure it out, make it simple, right? And intuitive eating, that's a term that's like, it's a good one to work towards. It's like just eating off a feel and things like that. That's what I'm talking about. But this is what he kind of said, and I'll just play it.
The biggest reason why, I don't know if you can fucking hear me because I'm in my car, but the biggest reason why I ask is because my great grandfather, bro, has literally been through almost fucking everything. He was fucking pronounced KIA in Vietnam for a whole year, but he was actually MIA, came back to the States, bro, and like his diet consists of fucking like rice and like meats, you know what I mean? Like, he'll pick up a fucking vegetable every year and now again, but for the majority, like he doesn't really eat meat, and he's fucking 97 and he still bikes, he still fucking cuts his own yard, he still fucking like goes for walks and shit like that. He does everything on his own, you know what I mean? But yeah, man, that's really that's really the reason why I wanted your opinion on it, just because I'm interested to see, just what you think about it. I'm sure you've studied more and shit.
Sorry, I have not done this before, but yeah, it's like, I'm sure as long as you're eating, real food and have a healthy lifestyle, like, yeah, I'm sure you could live just as long as somebody, that has like, let's say a meat-based, higher protein, higher fats, lower carbohydrates, which are sugars broken down in your body, and, you need like some of that, yada, yada. But like, yeah, if you want to be kicking at 80 instead of just, outliving somebody, you definitely, as far as where I can tell, want to be on like and you can get it from fish or like whatever, but like you need protein, you need fats, and then a little bit of carbohydrates for like, what's the word? Glycogen stores. And that's like, you know, like in school, I guess you were taught like science or whatever, like that you need carbohydrates for energy, but it's more like you want to use them on the back end in your glycogen stores rather than the first, because you'll still have a kick of energy with the carbohydrates that you're storing in your body. Like same kick that you would get from just eating carbohydrates on a carbohydrate diet before a deal, you know, like, but your body only keeps so much for the stores for, you know, extreme exertion or like last minute rather than, you know, and more for holding water, you know, carbohydrates, carbon and hydrogen, like literally. So, but you don't need to store a ton of water. That's why people are fat. That's what fat is, like mostly water. And I mean, so is muscle, but I mean, like it's obviously stored different ways.
I wanted to make a side note about the real food type thing that I said. I love me some Slim Fast, Fat Bombs, and Atkins birthday cake bars. And there's, you know, there's things that are in a box that, and like the distinction I want to make is just like, you know, heavy lifting and then like mobile lifting that I'll talk about later. Fitness is like, excuse me, it's everything. And that's why I try to keep it generalized, and I do get calculated about some things that you, in order to simplify them, rather like to fully understand and simplify. But it's all like, you know, there's a balance, like yin yang smiley face. There's a balance in life, and there's a balance in working out of like as far as like flexibility versus strength. And then there's a balance in like your and difference between like your gut health and your like just your body composition, I guess. So for example, like I said, you need whatchamacallit, if you know, like you need a starting point. So if you know, track what you're eating right now or the last couple days or the next couple days, like get an app. That's what I mean. It's not tough anymore. It's much easier nowadays with the apps and all that. Like, and I did the fasting thing for a while, like 2 years now. And then I just now got the little app, and I like it even more. Like, for example, like it's called Zero. It's your fasting app, and it gives you like a little dial, and you can start the timer. So like, if your schedule fluctuates, like you can more easily, I guess, like without putting too much thought to it. Like, cause like I want to put thought into things. Like that's how I'm geared. I put thought into things in the moment. That way, like routine wise, like it's simple, right? So, you know, point being is, yeah, some stuff comes in a box, and I've noticed like, yeah, I'm not like as far as gut health feeling wise, like it's not as good as like the same numbers from, you know, something else, even if it would be like net carb low, but like it's higher, they're higher usually too, like higher in carbs and higher in fiber, which is like the net carbs work out, right? Like, but I just noticed like there's a difference, right, between like getting the same numbers from real foods. So like, you know, but hey, I love me some freaking, I found this out just like not even 2 weeks ago. Like, and it has to do with also like once you start eating clean and you cut your sugar and get off the drug, basically, like, because legit sugar's a drug and it's addictive. And, but once you get to where you don't have to completely cut it, you know what I'm saying? But once you get to where you're not like your body is not looking for that as its energy source, which is a crappy energy source, I guess. Then all of a sudden things like that have sweeteners and fruit, you know what I'm saying? Like that's where you're supposed to get, sugar if you need it, type thing. It's like it's supposed to be fruit. And we look at it that as like a healthy thing or whatever. But I mean, numbers wise, just like my Atkins bar thing I was saying, yeah, I mean, like bananas and stuff and honey. I mean, geez, you want your sugars? Holy cow. I mean, on a 24-hour fast or something or whatever, you're cleaned out. Why don't you go get you just a little bit of honey, and you will be like, man, sweet tooth gone, like gone. I mean, seriously, it's like, and then on the days that I decide to like give me some ice cream like I did last night, yo, euphoric, I mean, it feels like you're like drunk, or something. But okay. Let's see other points. Oh, just this other guy said you need to eat or something on like I had like 28-inch measurement around my waist, and I was like, I still eat at least 2,500 calories a day, even though I'm deficiting over the past month and a half. Like, and before that it was 3,000. So that's out the window as far as like, that was just my point of like with my mom and grandma too. Like, you're starving yourself, you better have the right energy source, and then you don't want to be low calorie like that anyways. Sweet tooth, I just kind of explained that actually. Like, I'm just going off my little scratch pad notes here, trying to finish up. I go to work. But sweet tooth, yeah, I mean, your sweet tooth, you're just addicted to sugar. So break that, and then once you do, I promise it will be much easier to get you a little bit of sugar and then be like, "Ooh, wow, okay, well, that satisfied that." And it just tastes so much better. Like, I would have never liked Diet Pepsi, especially as much as I do now. Like, I found out a couple weeks ago, I love it because Granddad was a Pepsi drinker. I've always liked Pepsi, but I guess that's gonna be my thing now. Is like, dang, Diet Pepsi, it's just good. Because I'd had the Diet Dr. Pepper, and I was like all Dr. Pepper. That was me. But now it's like the Diet Pepsi is whatever. But anyways, I said only deficit. Oh yeah. Carbs are for competition. I kind of said that with the level 2 type thing. Quest bars, Atkins bars, like things like that. My boy Kennedy, we were talking about like the thought is that fats are bad, right? So like a lot of stuff you'll find in the store, other than like stuff that might be kind of boring, which I don't think so. It's like your salami, cheese, your meats, your cheese, your veggies, any kind of like treats or anything like that, or stuff that tastes like, not boring, I guess. And like I said, I don't think it's boring once you get your taste buds and sugar out. Like, then all of a sudden stuff like, I feel like I'm eating like a king every day with my salami and cheese and my tuna and dump ranch or Caesar dressing on it and whatever. Avocados, best, it's more my favorite. I have a whole one like almost every day. Yeah, but like you'll see a lot of like stuff that's like low fat. So I mean, like the biggest problem we run by, and that's only if you're like highly active, is like finding a lot of fats. But other than that, like as long as you just have like a good steak, good fatty meat or something like that, like you're gonna get enough, because most people that are asking me and listening, and most people are not going to be burning 4,000 calories a day, and it'll be good to work off that 2,000 calorie number that's on all the labels and the 50-gram carb thing, and go from there. Carbs for energy versus glycogen stores. I don't really like have I haven't done like the scientific dive that I've done on a lot of things on glycogen stores. That's more of a recent kind of way, like term, I guess, for me. And I need to look at, I guess, the molecular type deal of that. But I had traps for pressing, but it's more of a workout thing. I won't say that, but that's just could be an example of just, hey, stuff that, pills not the answer. This is not the answer. Maybe let's remember some stuff that we as humans have known for like, thousands and millions of years. So, and capitalize on it with the stuff that we have now, rather than pills the answer, this and that, like what have you, and that's pretty much, hey, I don't know. I kind of don't have much time for much else. And, anything that I could probably dive into a little bit more, I will, and, but I kind of wanted this first one to be like general, just let me get it going, start rambling, and at least answer a lot of the questions that I'm getting from people, because like, yeah, at the end of the day, and I do have one note here. It says beating the sun up, because physical health, mental health, just like the whole balance thing I was talking about, it all goes hand in hand, right? So like, you got to have a little bit of everything, right? Like, and the point I was going to make about the gut health thing is like fasting. Hey, you know what? Damn, I'm still fasted. Like I'm still peeing a lot. And I'm still, like I feel that I'm fasted on, like when I'm calorically fasted, when I stay like that, it's a similar thing. And it may not be the best like gut fast or whatever. Like that was the distinction I was trying to make. But and you might hear like the preservatives and diet stuff is worse than like actual sugar type thing. And you know what? Like, why don't you go work out and burn 200 calories and then go drink a regular Pepsi this size, and that's going to be calorically eaten up immediately. And you just can't tell, you know what I'm saying? Like and if I do, like, if it breaks my gut health fast, all I'm trying to say is I guarantee it processes it faster if it's bad. So like, or if it's bad, if it's not, perfect. So like, if I'm doing a 24-hour fast and I'm drinking, I have some sweeteners in my tea and, a little bit of cream in my coffee, I can dirty fast. I'll get into that, I guess, next time, about like metabolic flexibility. And that's what I found I was developing through doing all this. And that's just a recent term too. But yeah, you can't tell me that like, I'm not fasted after I do this. And then also, it's just like, it's hand in hand, and it's all like on a spectrum, I guess, is like the last point I should make, is like not just hand in hand, is like, yeah, it may not be, 100% dry fast. Like, holy shit, I hear some people doing like 3-day dry fast. I'm like, I kind of heard that, if you go more than 3 days without water, then you die. So like, I don't think I'm ever going to try a 3-day dry fast, like no water or nothing. But hey, like that's why I do the intermittent stuff and things like that. And, with like anything, like, I count these just flat, because I got to count the caffeine. You don't want to be all wired on 1,000 milligrams, or I'm sorry. Yeah, 1,000 milligrams of caffeine every day. Like, that's not going to be good for you. But yeah, it's all like hand in hand thing, and just doing the best you can kind of every day. And your best isn't defined by anything. Everybody's different. So I say I had some I was out in the sun. I did like an extra ruck out in the sun for an hour yesterday, and just being out in the sun. And even though it wasn't like a huge calorie day, just the sun, like, as far as an outlier example, I mean, made me want a bunch of sugar. So I mean, like, summertime fruits eat seasonally, that thing stuff. I'll start trying to do more and get into and figure out. But like, yeah, I mean, I'm not 100%, and I'm, the reason I'm getting questions is because visually I'm 3 to 5% body fat on any given day. So I mean, and I feel great. Asked anybody at work, I guess, like I'm never without energy. I mean, sometimes it's like annoying the amount, but like just how I grew up versus even over the past 2 years of like eating everything, I got I've always been, my point is I've always been like kind of high energy and without lack of energy, and not really crashing in the day type thing. I did more growing back up, looking, with the diet after I would eat something crappy or something. That's when I would have the crash, but I have none. And like, I'm full energy throughout the day and every day, this and that. And sometimes I overdo it, this and that. I'm, like I said, I'm no genius or expert or anything, but I am visually, and as far as I can feel, like doing something right. So, best I can do, or worst or whatever, is like least, I guess, is try to speed up a 2-year process to a year, or a year process to 6 months, by sharing the early kind of stages, rather than most people, I guess, you'll hear will be talking about, or that you will listen to, are like veterans of this, like, or like older, 30, 40-year-old, like been doing it, have been done it, but I would have been doing it. But, I think it would be beneficial, and I should have started it 2 years ago. And I say 2 years, like, not like I've been anywhere what I'm doing right now. Like what I was doing 2 years ago is not like I progressed, but like I just kind of started to count, I guess, and like what I'm eating and track, and be just mindful about it. I guess I started about 2 years ago, but since then, yeah, way more energy, way more like of energy of all types, I guess, like throughout the day, energy to perform at a higher rate, not just throughout the day, like hormonal energy, like everything just feels good, looks, all that. And, I big thing too is like I have rheumatoid arthritis, and I just tried to pop my wrist right there. Can't do it. Like I just I was popping every day and hurting and inflamed, and my gut was inflamed and everything. And hey, I heard the other day that most people got like 3 or 4 pounds or 3 to 5 pounds of like toxic, like poop, like actual shit in their like bloodstream and this and that. And when I did my 3-day fast, I was still shitting. So like, and it was like black tar looking stuff. So it looked like organ waste and if that's my guess, I'm probably right. That's like 3 days of not eating. And I did a little diet drinks and tea and whatever. So it was a caloric fast. And that was my point too, is like, you're still going to get benefits, if you dirty fast or like whatever, like you're still getting a bunch of gut health benefits from it. So like, don't trip if you don't do anything like to the T type thing, especially if you're starting at day one here. So hopefully I can just help people, share my mistakes, because that's how I go through my life, I've found, and all my meditation, other crap that we'll talk about, I guess, in a different time, more like mental health type stuff. But this is more of a gut is your second brain, and it's got to be the first thing I talk about, I think, because or general thing I talk about, because ain't nothing happened until then, like energy to do anything active, things like that. And you're going to feel depressed, and hormones are going to be down. Like I gave an example with my mom, hormones are going to be zero if your body is starved of nutrients. Like if your body is worried about getting food to survive, then it's not going to be worried about like having sex and reproducing. So like, because it's like you can't reproduce if you die. So I mean, your brain, that's its thought, I guess. And so you know, you got to start with eating right, and then we'll go on from. My point was like, I've noticed in my way I do things is hey, I'm really impulsive, and you know, you saw my vape, and like I run on caffeine, nicotine, and I've smoked weed kind of every day since I got out the army, and you know, I've like reduced and this and that or whatever, and I'm pretty calculated about that as well. And don't do a lot, like more of throughout the like time, one little thing throughout the day or at different points of the day. Yeah, you don't want to lose. You don't want to overload your brain with like any kind of drug, sugar also. But yeah, I mean, whatever works for you, got to find what works for you, and you have to do, you know, a bunch of self-testing and that. And you know what, if you get to a point where you actually do need a coach, and that's the other thing, all I'm trying to do is just avoid people, because I make my mistakes. So I'll finish that. I make a bunch of mistakes in my life, and I learn from them, and that's how I do it. And I make mistakes quickly, quicker than most people, I guess, just because my energy levels and my brain is 100 miles an hour. But that also means I'm missing turns, and my memory's bad anyways. And you know, weed has not really accelerated that or anything. My memory's always been shit, even when I was like, 15. I mean, my gosh, it was black from first grade on. So, or first grade back. So, I mean, you know, you just got to find what works for you. And if the other thing I can do is help people avoid paying fucking $150 a month for at least 6 months of like nothing but trial and figuring out where they're at or whatever, like, golly, then there we go. Cause yeah, that I have kind of an issue with that, but hey, yeah, I mean, I guess I'll say one more thing before I go, like, say one more thing, just mention again, like, send me a buck, you know what I'm saying? I'm not trying to, you know, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing and whatever, but I've been getting a lot of questions lately, type thing, and people asking me at work and yada, yada. And, you know, not even just like I'm telling you, it's an energy. And Marcus's little podcast, like if you want more information before I get it, like Marcus Philly, I pull my info from a lot of different things, like what I learned in football and sports, and then Army too, and then just a couple other things. But like, yeah, this guy Marcus Philly, I found him like maybe a year into doing all this, and guy really is like, seems to be kind of not exactly what I'm saying type thing, like straight up just self-mentoring, whatever. But he's like the founder of functional bodybuilding, and his diet and the way he talks about self-testing, this and that. Point is, all his information I would say is like great. And you know, like not like do everything he says or whatever, but he'll say stuff like that too. That's why I say just like anything, listen. I mean, he always prefaces with like, hey, everybody's different type thing or whatever, but he also has like programs and this and that in the company. So I don't, and I would like to keep it kind of, even if I did, that's what I said, the only long-term thing for me is like a preventative care center where, you know, people just have a place to go and test their body metrics and whatever, and maybe get like a freaking pamphlet or something, or maybe a little bit of couple classes, not like a kind of, you know, $150 a month type thing of like, this is how you kind of count your stuff. This is that mentors to teach, to mentor, you know, get mentored on how to self-mentor type thing. But yeah. Yeah, that's that. We'll get into more, I guess, next time type deal. Oh yeah. But send me a buck or don't. Like I said, I'm gonna keep doing what I'm gonna do. But like, you know, if the any of this information proves positive to you or just like resonates or anything like that, like, you know, if I could have sent somebody a buck to tell me like how important beating the sun up is every day, and I didn't today, but you know what I'm saying? Like, just the different, like I slept in, but little things like that, like mental health, like, yeah, I mean, if it's helpful to you, send me a buck, you know, and I'm not gonna ever ask for anything more than that. I would just, you know, main point is I want, like, if just my dang grandma or mom could listen to this and benefit, that'd be great. But this, you know, it's at least starting now, because I just want, instead of like having to answer the same type of questions or whatever, like, that's what I did in this first one, is just try to answer the ones that I'm getting most commonly. And the way I answer type or people on these most common question type things is like, yeah, it's the same thing. It's going to be like, you got to do your gut health before anything. And then we can talk about what kind of weights we're lifting. We can talk about what kind of yoga we're doing, what kind of meditation, and, you know, what kind of rucks and this and that. And like, you know, all that jazz. But first things comes first is your gut health. And then you can start manipulating your body through your gut the way you want to. But hey, this is the Self-Mentoring Podcast. I'm Nick Sam Millan, and we will holler at you next time.